Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, the big fight of the week, Demetrius Andrade versus David Benavidez. I think we all know about it. It's the big fight of the week, Thanksgiving week, 25th of November. It's going down, two undefeated fighters. Scenarios like we've seen before, two strong fighters. So my question in this video is, can Demetrius Andrade win without controversy? Can Demetrius Andrade win the fight without controversy? I mean, I think the general consensus is, even though this is a pretty much a 50-50 fight, or probably a 55-45 fight for the younger fighter, the bigger fighter, and David Benavidez, right? I think the general consensus is that Demetrius Andrade is skilled, but and could probably get off to an early start, but late, the punch rate, the work rate of David Benavidez is going to basically take him into deep waters and drown him late, probably even stop him. That seems to be the general consensus of how this fight's going to go out. Most people are giving Demetrius Andrade his props and everything, but feel as though he's been just aged out, and he's probably not going to be able to hold off the big David Benavidez. And then, that's pretty much what you would go with. I'm leaning towards that myself, even though I'm a big Demetrius Andrade fan. But what I would like is for people to look at what could possibly happen, right? Because we've had different scenarios that are similar. But before we get in that, we just want to just mention, when I'm looking at, the lead ups and the pundits talking about the fights, of course, how I always complain about no one is showing clips of Demetrius Andrade calling out the big names over the years, showing how many times he's been to, press conferences and things like that, or try to get in the ring so they can show that. This is a good opportunity for people to see it with their own eyes. Show how he called out Canelo at 154 pounds, explain to him that I'm the champion. I thought mandatories wanted to fight. This would be the time for the masses to get this information, right? So I'm a little bit, sad or disappointed about that. And, the other thing is, when talking about the future fights, right? The winner of this fight, everyone's just saying Benavidez versus Canelo, right? At that point, Benavidez would have deserved Canelo if he beats Andrade and looks good doing it and whatever. But the scenario of Andrade winning never really comes up, right? That's another thing. So if Andrade does win the fight, he still won't get the Canelo fight. And we kind of pushed the narrative of Canelo avoided David Benavidez, right? And not Andrade. We don't like to say the name, but Canelo has avoided Andrade 5 times longer. It's a decade with Andrade. It's only 2 years with David Benavidez. Now, he's avoided both of them, though. But, so you're kind of worried about, hey, will we be having the same narrative if Andrade were to win? But here's the thing. Andrade's a smaller fighter, right? And he's moving up. And if he were to beat David Benavidez, let's say by points or something, some kind of way that happened, then the people won't register, hey, man, that was awesome to make Dave Benavidez to outpoint it. Dave Benavidez throws the whole bunch of punches and bunches, and lets them hands go something awful. Similar to Pacquiao, right? It's kind of the same narrative. Pacquiao Mayweather. Mayweather goes into the fight. Pacquiao gets hit with 2 straight right hands right at the beginning of the fight, and it had him tentative in most of the fight. But, the fight was deemed boring, and basically what they were saying was Mayweather was boring, but the guy who's supposed to throw all the punches and bunches and make all the action was tentative. Why was he? To watch that was enjoyable and informative. You know what I mean? That's possible. So, but, instead, people start getting on Floyd Mayweather for having such a great performance and deeming it as boring, and everybody just follows suit, right? I don't hear anybody that never says Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao wasn't boring, except me. That wasn't even close to boring. And it wasn't boring for the people who were watching it live, who were Pacquiao fans, because in round 4 and round 6, when Pacquiao landed on Mayweather, I'm pretty sure they were excited and jumping out of their seats, right? Just the wrong thing happened. But at the end of the day, you watched a masterpiece. Now, if by some kind of, I don't know, that Demetrius Andrade was able to overcome Benavidez, doesn't matter how. So we don't want to, after the fight, start saying, hey, well, he was running, because he was avoiding punches or whatever. But he would at least had to land enough counters to still win the fight. So you have to register that. If a smaller guy is coming up in weight against a bigger guy that's basically weight bullying that division, that's like Errol Spence for 147 pounds. For 168 pounds, David Benavidez is huge. And so you got somebody coming up. So it's not necessarily he's talking like he's supposed to just stand right there and let the guy swing at him. You have to use your attributes. But I notice when something like that happens, then it would be a controversial decision or something like that. And we don't really want that. So my point is, just if Demetrius Andrade wins, I don't give a damn how, it's awesome. Or if he makes this fight very, very competitive, then that's pretty awesome from his standpoint, coming up the way and being the older guy. It's going to be hard to do, right? It's going to be hard to do. But, like a lot of times, you get excuses in these fights and stuff. I've seen the excuses come out and like you remember Canelo fought Bivol. What was he able to say? Oh, it's my hand or my wrist. I got to get it, got to get surgery on it. Lomachenko, when he fought Teofimo Lopez, it was a shoulder. And when we talk about Lomachenko, Teofimo Lopez, we like, hey, if it's a healthy Lomachenko against Teofimo, we don't know how that fight would have went out. Loma probably would have won. Pacquiao was able to say against Mayweather that it was his shoulder, even though he was caught in 1,000 lies. The salt healed it. His fight, he had it before the fight until people was about to sue him. Then he got it in the fight. And so win in the fight, because we know it wasn't round 4, round 6 when he was letting them hands go. So it's very, just leave it alone. But some seriously gray area in that, over there, if you really want to do your, research. But we're trying to just leave it alone. We don't want to mess with Manny Pacquiao. But he was able to say shoulder, and a lot of people, just went with that. Matter of fact, Teofimo Lopez versus Kambosos. Kambosos went over him as his little tainted because Teofimo was supposed to have an esophagus issue. But when we're talking Mayweather versus Castillo, we ain't talking about Mayweather's shoulder. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about Rigondeaux versus Lomachenko, we had to move up all that weight, broke his right hand or fractured it, his left hand, and he had to stop. People didn't care about that. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. And right now, you have one right now. That's why I'm saying this because of narrative. Right now, Shakur Stevenson just had a fight last week. De Los Santos. Hard guy, powerful guy. Shakur Stevenson, this is his third weight division. Just achieving his third belt in his third weight division, right? Comes in the fight was lackluster. Although Shakur Stevenson won the fight, pretty much easy. It wasn't really that close, right? But he wasn't letting his hands go. He was playing defense. Wasn't being able to be hit, but he was playing defense, right? And so it was, lackluster, and people are on him. Come to find out he has some kind of hand issue. Totally. Didn't want to say anything about it, but damn it, that means he had a hand issue. Still won the fight, but he's getting total backlash for how he looked in the fight because it's expected for him to look good. So if you do have these, my point is that should be what we're talking about other great fighters. If Shakur Stevenson is a great fighter, then so as the hell does Pacquiao, Teofimo Lopez, Canelo, and anybody else. You see what I'm saying? So Shakur Stevenson, his fight against De Los Santos, was lackluster because he had a hand issue. Teofimo Lopez's fight against Kambosos was lackluster because he had a esophagus issue. Manny Pacquiao didn't let his hands go against Mayweather except for round 4 and 5 and 6 because of 2 right hands in the first and and his shoulder issue. Right? Lomachenko versus Teo. Shoulder issue. Canelo versus Bivol. Hand issue. If it's going to be that way, then they all got issues. Or no excuses. Got to pick. So that's what I'm just saying. I'm looking at this fight here, Benavidez and Andrade, and I'm looking at basically Andrade really can't really win this fight because if he wins by decision, I expect it to be some kind of controversy and people sour grapes and things like that. So it's really an uphill battle for Andre, because I don't see Andre going in here getting rid of David Benavidez. David Benavidez seems to have a pretty good chin. He's bigger, and Andre coming up in weight, and he's not the one punch knockout power kind of guy. Anyway, he can knock you down, but he doesn't really keep you on the ground. And he goes on and cruises to the end of the fight, which is really good news. One is you knock somebody down early, you try to get him out of there. If it doesn't happen, then you can go on cruise control and still win every round. That's showing you, first of all, that I can go to 12 rounds, and that's also showing that I'm better than you. You know what I mean? That there's distance there. That I can just go on cruise. So those kind of things are going to be hard against the David Benavidez. So if it do happen, my point is register it, give props to the man for whatever happens. Because we're going to give props either way here. But I'm just saying, for people who wouldn't think about that, that would be a big, big feat if Demetrius Andrade were able to pull this off. Doesn't matter how. Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm out of here, y'all.